Okay.
Hi, welcome to Collaboration Comic Con. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you, Onna, for being here. And just for everyone who's watching, if you want to support this group and the speakers here in our COVID fund, you can either purchase a ticket or go to our Patreon and make a donation of any amount. So thanks for being here, Onna. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I write graphic novels on Amazon. They've been in the top 100 best-selling lists in several different genres. I also have a blog, Monday, Wednesday, Friday Find, with the little greenhouse on the corner. And hosting this convention with you has been a first for live conventions, but we have done 3-month-long summer conventions for the last 2 years at Get to the Gate Summer Camp, which are also available at the little greenhouse on the corner.com. Kind of just evolved, but yeah.
So would you tell us a little bit about the books you write?
Sure. I'm going to see if I can pull them up here on this button. We're going to see if we can do this. Just a moment. Right. Never done this before, so it's a little bit of a work in process. Well, that way everyone can see the covers as I talk about them, which I thought would be kind of handy. This is the first book I published. It's called Lizzie Revisited. It was actually published as a book without any illustrations, novella, and then I went and redid it on my blog and released it completely via Twitter, I think about a year ago now, and it's all available on Twitter at Lizzie Revisited. But it is the story of Pride and Prejudice set at the North Platte Canteen. A lot of people don't know about the North Platte Canteen, but it served over 6 million soldiers to and from World War II in North Platte, Nebraska. And I thought this was a way to honor that story by studying Pride and Prejudice in that time period. So that's that book. And you can get it in ebook, black and white graphic novel, and full color illustration graphic novel.
And that's Amazon.com?
At Amazon.com, yes.
Awesome.
See here, I'm going to pull up the next one I did. This is a compilation of, when I started my blog, it was mainly interior design journalism. That's what my degree is in. And so I decided to get advice from interior designers, artists, and foodies about what made their business work, what were the highlights of their career that they had learned thus far. And I put that all on my blog for about a year and a half. And then I decided to collect all those posts, pretty much, and put them into a book called The Being of Business, Interior Interviews from Artists, Interior Designers, and Foodies on Their Lives' Work. And that book is also available in hardcover, black and white, and full cover illustration on Amazon as well. That was a really fun book to work on because it was a collaborative effort with all the people that were featured on the blog for that year and a half period. So that was a real pleasure to do with them. And then let's see. Oh, this is fun. Who knew you could have pictures? This is a book I actually wrote for Bob many years ago.
Yes, it's mine. It's all mine, but I'll share with others.
And it's a children's book about getting ready to go to a trip to the sea. And it's kind of a little bit of a neat children's picture book. So it was just a fun thing to do. And it took me about 12 years to get this one published, but it finally came out and it's available on Kindle Unlimited for those who are interested. So it's also available in hardcover.
No childhood is complete without this book.
And also in paperback. So I really like the paperback edition because it's so small and diminutive. So
cute. I love mine. It's adorable.
Let's see here. This is the first, this is a book I wrote about a year ago now. No, I didn't. I published it this last August, but I was working on it for the past year or so, and it's a book that is a spin-off of the first few chapters of A Study in Scarlet, and it's called The Google and Vermilion. This is the first of this set of Sherlock Holmes novels. It's Holmes Suite 221B. This is the first in the Google and Vermilion series. I will be releasing a second this summer in this series. The thing that I like about this is it sets Sherlock in modern day as a female detective, and Watson is her assistant. And there's a charming little girl in it who just makes everything so interesting. And it's quite kind of a just a fun little adventure set in modern times, taking the original Holmes series and just transporting it into modern day Dublin, Ireland. So this was
This is my favorite that you've done so far. That one's my fave. I mean, I love all your books. I've read all your books, but that's my fave.
And then to complete that, I decided I had worked on a backstory to that one I just showed everyone. And this is one of the Uncle Ed Remembers series. It's the origins of 221B. This is the first in how Sherlock became the detective she is. And I think I did the illustrations so that we go from kind of dark, more modern photos to more golden hues as the story progresses, because it kind of mirrors her projection on life. Because she goes from being kind of a closed, from bleak existence to having life be more open toward her. And so this is kind of the start of her story. And that's why the illustrations are a little bit different. So that's kind of how we did that one. And then,
really good. I really like that one.
hit the wrong button here, guys. Sorry. Too many buttons.
Technology!
I know. Yeah. And this one is one I was working on when I lived in South Dakota. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. It's a longer graphic novel. It's the story of a woman who survived Wounded Knee with her 5 children. And it puts it in this perspective of what would it have been like to survive that as she was a reporter's wife during the time, and her husband went missing after Wounded Knee. And it's kind of about them trying to deal with that tragedy, not as a Native person, but as a person who grew up around Native people and who lost family during the Wounded Knee experience. So this is that story, the first in that series. It's one of my favorites.
Really good. All of them are amazing. Everyone should go buy them all right now.
And then I made this as the sequel to it. And it's taken from the verse in Romans about more than conquerors. So the first one is beautiful and wise, but the second is through him who loved us, which is just about that verse in Romans. Now you're more than conquerors. So it's also on Kindle Unlimited. And it's kind of about them going from South Dakota back to New York, and the experiences she and her family have, and how life that they thought existed was not as it was because her husband was not honest with her.
Mystery and intrigue. I like it.
So if he appears again, I think she'll kill him. Just joking.
Yes, let's kill him.
No, she wouldn't do that.
Talk about an axe murderer. I like it even more.
You wouldn't do that. Then we have this is a story that is also on Kindle Unlimited. It's
this is a good one.
Or no, and it is actually part of a series which I will be developing later this year and next year. That I started back when I was in high school, called The Journey, which was quite a while ago actually. But this is actually, I think, the 7th in that set, which there'll be the precursors will be following it. And this is one of my favorite stories from that project. So it's also a graphic novel.
It's really cool.
And
those were my bedtime stories growing up. Those were my bedtime stories. So these are really awesome. The only problem is you don't really go to sleep to these stories. So my poor sister, she'd be like, no more stories. I'd be like, just one more. And then if you could tell that she was done with stories, because she'd be like, all right, one more. There was this girl who was very little, and she asked for a story, and she got it, and then she went to sleep.
That worked. It did.
And that one worked. I always went to sleep after that one. But these other ones, they never worked for getting me to sleep. But they were very, very engrossing. So.
This one was a spoof off of Phantom of the Opera, because
I love this one.
This was just recently published. It's also on Amazon in ebook, black and white, and full color paperbacks. It's about a young woman who manages an opera and her trying to deal with a prima donna instead of a prima donna. And my favorite highlight is the small boy that is in the story. He is
Oh,
awesome.
he's so cool. He's adorable.
Composite figure, but yes, he's awesome. So, and then we have,
There's more.
I think so.
She's been
This
busy. I mean,
the most recent one. It is called Stand By Your Man, which has nothing to do with any guys. It is actually a play on the Hindi word man, which means head and heart. And
I love this book.
I love the color in this book. The illustrations were from Unsplash, but they have been completely re-edited through software. And it's about a young woman's journey through India and this guy who just happens to be coming along too, and how unexpectedly.
It's my favorite part.
And it's about deciding what to think with your head or with your heart. And so it's just an interesting little story. Again, it's a graphic novel. And it's kind of loosely spun off of Jane Austen's Emma, set in modern times. So that is that one.
I love that one.
The photos on that one were quite a joy to make. So.
They're really cool.
And then also we have on the blog right now, I don't seem to have it on my collection, but I wrote a book called The Voided Check, and that one is currently on the blog, is being released in serialized form. You can go to littlegreenhouseonthecorner.com, Monday, Wednesday, Friday finds, and it's being released. It's near the end of its serialized release, but that is also available on Amazon.com, and that is a book set in a large city based on a life of an Irish painter and a young secretary.
It's such a good one. I love it.
And it's about cooking and food and tea, and it's just kind of a neat foodie book. If you like just a quiet little book to kind of have at the end of the day, it's a nice book for that. So, and then also there is the Put About Day book. That one is also available on Amazon. Somehow I don't have that saved, even though I thought I did. Let me check one more time. But that book is also available on Amazon, and it just categorizes one day as a series of vignettes in a person's life as they kind of cut about on their day and the excursions they have. So that one I wrote when I was in early college, quite a while back. But anyway, and that just recently got published this year as well. Actually, last year, excuse me. We've flipped 100 years. So yes. But I'm looking forward to releasing the new Sherlock Holmes collection and also the Holmes manga books with the Hope here, and also the Journey books. There will be some more coming out in that as well. So
yeah, that I'm really excited to see where those go, because I mean, all of yours are amazing, but I'm really excited about. I can't pick a favorite. No, I can't. I have to say, of all that I've read so far, the Ms. Holmes are my favorites, but it's a close tie on all of them. They're all incredible. And it's not just because she's my sister. I've read a lot. She's good.
Well, thank you for having me today. And for all our listeners, if you want to support the guests at this event, there is a Patreon link below, and that also goes to support the COVID-19 United Way Fund. You can also access all my books on Amazon.com. Several of them are Kindle Unlimited editions, are available on ebook or paperback. For those interested, I've also released several of the book illustrations available as lined notebooks. Those are available on Amazon.too.
They're beautiful.
8.5 by 11 lined notebooks of various lengths, and there are some with Jane Austen quotations in them as well that I did. So, and B. Hope did the covers for those. So, for those interested, you can access those there. And thank you so much for coming to this event. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Onna.
Thank you.